Hello everyone. This is Avinash, and today is the day 30 of learning data science. And yes, yesterday, what all things we discussed? We discussed about few points about file handling. We also discussed about exceptional handling. Okay. So today, what we will be going to do? We will be going to dive into more into about of exceptional handling, and also we will discuss what are the exceptions inside Python, what is built-in exception, and also what are user-defined exception. It's like how you can as well raise an exception if that particular exception is not being present inside Python. Okay, so now let's start with the things. And first, I want you guys to just open with the spider. Yeah, and again, it's totally up to your choice whether you can use VS Code or PyCharm. But yes, if you are a beginner, then I would suggest Spider. Why? Because it have lot of um, features are there into it. Means like it makes it more compatible with the new users. Features in the sense means like there are certain features in Spider like which VS Code and PyCharm doesn't allow such. For example, you can see your variable name, you can see the directories in Python. You can see the various functions pertaining to that particular domain which you are looking into it. For example, if you are looking some kind of exception, how many exceptions are there in Python? You can look into that easily in Spider. But again, that thing will be not applicable in VS Code or PyCharm, any of the IDs. And that doesn't mean that these IDs are bad and these IDs are worst. No, it's like as a beginner, I would suggest to use Spider because Spider also have some limitations. Means like if you are uh, writing a code with some exceptions, and also if you are writing uh, finally and all those stuff. So basically, what limitation does Spider has that it will not execute correctly all those lines because what Spider does, it executes line by line and it makes it more difficult to execute all of the things at once. So, for example, if you have written something in the line number 100 and if you want to run the code which is being there in line number 100 till 110, so what will happen? You will find some redundancy in that, some limitations will be there in that. And yesterday, I have shown that okay, how our finally block wasn't executing properly and why it wasn't executing properly because we were just randomly selecting those lines of code and we were just trying to run that code. So for that reason itself, it wasn't executing that much efficiently. Okay. So if you are in an advanced section, so obviously you guys know all these things and you guys might be familiar with some of the IDs. I personally use VS Code, but yes, as a beginner, Spider is a beautiful tool and I would suggest to use as well. Okay. So now let's just dive into more into of exceptional handling. So first, yesterday what we basically discussed about the syntax, about the basic what exceptional handling means, the core of exceptional handling. What does exceptional handling includes it? Okay, so basically, exceptional handling is divided into three parts, right? There are three types of blocks which we write into when we are trying to handle any exception. And basically, the first block was try, then it comes except, and then again it's finally. Okay, so we discussed about all those things. We discussed what is a try, what is except, again what is finally. We discussed all things, right? So today we are going to discuss what are the more built-in exceptions in Python. Okay, so for that, what you have to do, you have to just import a library here. Okay, library, or you can say uh, in any package, both is same. Okay, so you have to just write here import built-ins, and as soon as you will write the import built-in, so what will happen, it will import a library called built-ins, and basically this library holds all the exception which is inside Python. Okay, and when you have to check it, what are those exceptions, so you have to just simply write here dir, and within that you have to write here built-ins. Okay, and as soon as you will execute this line of code, So what will happen? You can see here various exceptions are there. Uh, Arithmetic error is there, assertion error is there, attribute error is there, base exception is there. So these exceptions are there. Again, if you have to look into it, means like basically what this exception does. So there is a second line of code for that, and you have to write here help. And within help, what you have to write? You have to write here built-ins. Okay. And when you will execute this line of code, then what will happen? It will basically give you the definition of all those exceptions, zero division error, arithmetic error. It will give you the definitions. You can see into my console here, which is being displayed. You can see here what basically this get attribute does and what all parameter it holds, and while defining that particular function, what all things you would need it. Okay, so these all things is being displayed here. And again, how you can locate with that? Just by writing help, and you can write here built-ins. Why built-ins? Because built-ins holds the exception which is inbuilt in Python. Okay. So yesterday we discussed about the file not found error. We were discussing about we were trying to open the file which was not in our directory. And first when we used to open it, means like it gave us an error, right? Then what we did, we tried handle that exception, and with file not found error, we successfully handle those exception, right? So not now what we will do, we will try just trying this arithmetic error, right? Or what basically arithmetic error is. Okay. And arithmetic error, it can be anything, like if you are finding the square root of a negative number. So square root of a negative number, it's obviously a imaginary number, and that's things we discuss, we know in mathematics, right? But Python will not be able to identify such, right? To write a imaginary number, the complex number, what you have to do, you have to write 2i plus 3j or something like that, a plus bi pj. That form should be there. But again, when you are finding a square root of a negative number, at that time you will not face such things. Means like Python is will not identify automatically, right? So what you have to do, you have to just mention there, okay, uh, this is a square root, and the square root we are finding it is for a negative number. And that proper message you have to convey to the Python or the user which is currently giving the inputs, or the programmer who is just writing the codes, writing the programs, right? So what I will do, first, as you guys know, like I will just input a number here. I will just write here n, and I will write here int input, enter a number. And I will start my try block here. Again, you guys know what basically try block does. Try blocks holds the block of code in which exception might occur. It's not necessary that exception will occur always, no. But if we have a hint that, okay, if we are entering this particular type of values, then that exception would occur. So for that reason, we are writing that set of code in try block. Okay. So here what we will do, we will just find the square root of it. Okay. And I will write here, I will assign a variable like sqrt. Okay. And I will write here uh, n into half. Again, why I've written here half basically is that, again, it's up to you. You can try upon your logic how you can use the sqrt. Basically, you can use the math.sqrt function as well. But I'm not using math.sqrt. I'm using that my number should have a power of half. And basically when you define in that into some mathematical operation, some mathematical term, so obviously something with a power of half, that means you are taking the square root of that particular value, right? So I will try executing it, sqrt and dot n to the power of half. Okay, and in the except block, okay, in the except block, what I will do, I will write except, but again I have to write the error name as well. If I will not mention any error name, so what will happen, it will not identify such error. Okay, so the most important thing here, what you guys have to keep it in mind, that whenever you are writing any except function, you have to mention that particular error name, the error which you are trying to handle it. Again, how you can be able to find what type of error name you have to write there, again that depends upon your domain knowledge. Means like, I knew that arithmetic error means you are finding the negative square root. Zero division error means you are dividing particular number by zero. File not found error means that particular file is not present in that particular directory and you are trying to access those files, right? So for that reason, file not found error comes. So again, the number of times you will keep practicing the codes, the number of times your domain knowledge will increase, and the number of times you will be able to figure out what can be written inside the except functions, right? Or you can write uh, except syntax, right? So here what I will do, I will just try writing here. I will just copy paste it and I will write arithmetic error. Okay. And in this, what I will do, I will print my message, uh, enter a positive value. Okay. So now let's try executing this line of code. See, you can see here, whenever I have select this whole line of code, okay, so what did happen? My spider didn't run so proficiently. For that reason, means like there is some limitations in spider and that can't be resolved using spider, and for that reason you should stick with VS Code and uh, PyCharm, right? But again, this type of exception only occurs when you are handling some exceptional handling values as well. Means like when you are in some exceptional handling topics, then this type of redundancy or this type of limitations comes into the play, right? And uh, if we will execute it line by line, okay, I'm trying to execute it line by line. So you can see here, it input, enter a number, and I'm trying to enter a number, like it generally happens with my, what you can say, my keyboard. For that reason, means like I'm opening on screen keyboard here. Okay, I will just open it. Yeah, and now I will just open my spider, and here I will try writing minus 1. Okay, and I will put a enter. Okay, and now if I'll execute this, I will execute this. Okay, again here I have to write it. So Control C, Control V. You can see here what I have got. I have got output, enter a positive value. And again, why I have written that? Because again, I have told you that this Python will not take any negative value here. Okay. So if I will try printing here 1, then obviously you will find a square root here and nothing is getting printed. Why it's not getting printed? Because I'm not printing here anything. For that reason, it's being not getting printed. Okay. So now let's try using it, and I will if write here 1, then you can see my number 1.0, it's being successfully printed here, right? So if I will try using some negative number, right? I will try using some negative number. Then you can see here 6 minus 17 plus ij, and that is something which is a complex type, right? So now we will talk about zero division error. Okay, zero division error. You have to keep it in mind that Python again is a case sensitive language, and again whenever you are using any different use case, any different cases, that particular function, that particular except block will not understand what type of error you are trying to show him, right? So basically zero division error means whenever you are dividing a number by 0. Okay, so if I will write here 0 here, if I will write here 0, then I will write here enter print. I will not write here enter a positive value. I will write here and number is getting divided by 0. Enter divide by valid. Divide by valid integer, right? And now when I will try to execute this line, okay, and if I'll write here 1, then you can see here it's showing divide by valid integer. What does it mean? It means that we are trying to divide it by 0, right? So these all were there when we were talking about some user type exceptions, right? I means like some inbuilt exceptions. But again, if you have to write, but again, if you have to build your own exception, right? If you have to build your own exception, then what can you do that? Okay. And building your own exception doesn't mean that you will use a built-in exception, right? Building your own exception means you are trying to build your exception of your choice, and that can be in any choice, means like a choice depends upon person to person, right? I will be using my own exception. I will try to define it. You guys will be try to define some own exception, right? Similarly, several people watching this video who will be trying to just define their own exceptions, right? And that will depend upon person to person, right? Again, how we can do that, how we can successfully achieve that? The first what you have to do is you have to define a class here. Okay, you have to write here class. Okay, and here just I will try executing, means like just for example, to take I will just think of an example. Okay, I will just take class too large error. Too large, I'm defining this, and what I'm writing into it, I'm telling that this is a exception. I am telling that this is a exception. And what I will do, I will just write here pass. Why I will write here pass? Because pass, what does it means? It passes the class. I don't have to do anything inside that class. I'm just defining the class to define my exception. If I will not use a class to define my exception, uh, Python will not identify whether that exception means what. Okay, so for that reason, I am defining a class here. Again, too large exception, too large. So what I will do here, uh, I will use a try block. Okay, and inside a try block, I will write here an input. Okay, basically this line should come above. So I will be writing here above itself. So I'll be writing int input, enter a number. So I'm writing this, and within try block, what I will check, if my number is less than 10 or less than 11. Okay. Why I'm not writing 0? Because I have a keyboard error again. I have to type on screen keyboard. So I'm skipping 0. And for that reason, I've told I will be writing 11. Right. So I'm writing if my n is less than 11. So what I will do, I will print n. Okay. Now nothing will happen. But in the except, I will write here except too large. Okay, and I will write here print the number is large. Okay, I am printing this now. Let's try executing this set of code. Enter a number. If I enter this number, okay. Okay, so one thing we forgot, that we have to define a function as well. Okay, and in define function, what I will do, I will just try executing def. Okay, within that, I will be writing this, and if it's this, then what I will do, I will write here raise exception too large. I will raise here exception too large. Okay, and here I will just try writing my try block, and I will write if this that. Okay, you can see here as well, like what we did. Okay, there was a class of exception. We have taken two user defined exception, that is negative number and two large error, right? And what we were doing, we were checking whether if that number is less than 0 or not. If it is less than 0, then what we were doing, we were raising negative error number and error. And if it's greater than, then it is too large. Else, we are printing the valid number. And in the try block, what we were basically doing, we were basically giving the function call. And if this function call is being successfully executed, then we will accept a negative number exception as E. Okay. So we will be try using this. We will write here the same thing. Okay. In try block, what I will do, I will try inputting my number here, and I will call my value df. If my number is less than 11, then I'm printing it, else I'm raising the exception. Okay. So in the df, I will give an here. Okay. And in except block, except too large, too large as E. Okay. We are giving that, and we will be printing error, error, and what will be printing E. Now let's try executing this line of code. Okay, okay. So basically this things is being not mentioned here. Now if you will try to execute this, then I have to enter a number, and you can see here my exception. I got a error in this message, right? And what basically that particular error displayed, it displayed that some error is inside it and you can't perform this operation, right? So now let's take some another example of that, and then we will be closing with exceptional handling, and tomorrow we will be starting with generators and iterators in Python, right? So what I will do, I will just create one class here, class negative number exception. Okay, and basically I don't have to do with this class, I have to only create an exception. For that reason I'm using pass, and in def what I will do, I will write here negative, and I will pass one variable n. And if I will check if n is greater than 0, yeah, where is zeros? Is there 0? Yes, I have to copy paste it. Basically my keyboard doesn't work. Okay, I am printing. If it is there, then I will print it then and there. Print n, or what can I do? I will just return my n. Okay, return n. Okay, and here what I will do, else raise exception negative number. Okay, I have raised this exception, and now what I will do, I will just negative, negative, no bro, negative will be there. Yeah, exactly. And now what I will do in my try block, I will try calling that function, but before that I have to input. So I've write here int, then input, then enter a number, right? I have to write this thing, and then what I will do, I will just call my function, and within that I have to print it. And what my function name, it's negative number, and I am trying to call my variable n here, okay? And in except block, what I will write in except block, I will write uh, it was there, except I have to write the error name, basically the error. Thank you guys for reminding me that within except I have to write the error name as well. So I will write except negative number as E. Why I'm using that alias? So that I don't have to write it again in the print statement, okay? So I will write here print E. Simply I will write here print E. And when I will try executing this, enter a number, and if where is that negative number when? Yeah, this I will copy this thing, and if I will try pasting it, basically I have to restart my kernel once here. Why I have to restart? Because that is a limitations into Spider. It will not operate. It doesn't operate efficiently sometimes, and you have to restart it again and again. So what I will do, I will just try executing this line of code, and when I will do such, why I'm not getting it? If my n is greater than 0, then I will print n, but else I will raise an exception. And that exception is a negative number. Okay? Oh shit. I wasn't defining the function name properly. For that reason, my output wasn't getting, and I was just thinking off my head that why it's not being happening, why there is some error. I was just trying using some changing return values and all those. You can see here my code successfully got executed, and yes, why it was not getting previously executed, because in the function call itself I was not putting the correct function name. For that reason, it wasn't executing it properly. Okay. So here it comes the stop for functions in exceptional handling in Python. And you guys have to just practice 500 to 1000 lines of code every day. And I hope you guys are practicing it. So we are stopping it here. And tomorrow we will start with the iterators and generators. So just join the session on time. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.